Hey everyone, this is Bola. I'm the founder and CEO of Clever Girl Finance. I'm also the author of the new book, Choosing to Prosper, Triumphing Over Adversity, Breaking Out of Comfort Zones, and Achieving Your Life and Money Dreams, which drops this summer 2022. Welcome to Clever Girl Finance TV and to a new episode of Real Women Talk Money. So I have two amazing women from Team Clever Girl Finance joining me.
Hi, I'm Yasmir. I'm the content creator for Clever Girl Finance.
And my name is Carly. Hi, everybody. And I am the social media creator here at Clever Girl Finance.
And today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome, something that many of us, if not all of us, have faced at one point or the other in our lives and how to tackle it. So, imposter syndrome, basically feeling overwhelmed, feeling insecurities, feeling less than, feeling anxiety, is something that I deal with on a regular basis, something I have to tackle all the time. And in my new book, Choosing to Prosper, I talk about overcoming several challenges, including my challenges with imposter syndrome and feeling less than. So Carly, Yasmir, is imposter syndrome something that you guys have had to deal with?
Yeah, I deal with it till today, and it's probably going to be with me for a little while as I learn to manage it.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a feeling and experience that can be hard to shake sometimes. And I think it's becoming more and more evident to me how often it happens for me.
Yeah, and imposter syndrome is real. It is real, and it can be incredibly limiting, especially when it comes to taking action towards your goals. It can hold you back from achieving your goals, from achieving your ambitions, your dreams. But it is something that can be managed if you know how to do it. So we're going to talk about some questions. We're going to ask you guys some questions and just talk about some ideas to manage our imposter syndrome, especially if, I don't think it's going anywhere for me, but I've learned how to put it in check. So grab your notebook, take some notes, call a friend, and join us in this conversation. So let's start by talking about in what specific situations in your life, your career, relationships, etc., has imposter syndrome reared its ugly head?
For me, everywhere. Everywhere. But, I see a therapist. I didn't know about imposter syndrome until she told me about it. And a lot of it stems from my childhood. And all those experiences and traumas that I've had. So it's just working on just questioning things that come to my head, so that I'm not holding myself back on the things that I want to do.
What about you?
Yeah, I think for me, it's come out most recently in relationships. So whether that it means dating or friendships or just relationships in general, it's hard for me to kind of not feel insecure depending on my interactions with different people or kind of second guess myself often in those relationships and in those situations. And having to talk yourself down from it is a lot harder than it you'd think that it would be. But I'm trying to get better on just communicating better with my relationships and being open and being honest that is happening in my head so that I can work on it down the line.
For me, imposter syndrome has been everywhere. I feel like every time I'm trying to do something big, or take a milestone step, it rears its head in a very heavy way, where it's almost like I can't do anything at all, even things I would normally do well, because I feel like, oh my God, I can't do it. And I think compounded with me being a faux extrovert, which means I'm really an introvert, it doesn't help. I remember writing my first book and getting ready to submit it, and I was so challenged by submitting this draft because of imposter syndrome. Like, it's not going to be good. Why would anybody want to read it? Who am I to write this? Who am I to have a book? I was so challenged that I asked for an extension, even though I had finished the book. And I tried to ask for another extension, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, do you really want to publish this book? So there's that. And then in day-to-day or in my life now, imposter syndrome rears its head when I have to do anything that's outside of my normal realm. So take my kids to school, come home, work, blah blah blah. So let's say I have to do something for TV now, and it's 6 weeks away, and then I start for the whole 6 weeks. I'm like, oh my god, I can't do this. Who am I to do this? I'm not good enough. I'm going to fail. It's going to be a disaster, and it's just such a burden. When you feel that imposter syndrome sometimes, because it distracts you from what you should be doing to pursue your goals, to move forward, because you're dwelling on all the things that you think you're incapable of doing, or you're not worthy of doing, or things that just might never, or likely to never ever happen, negative things. So I guess my next question is, how do you, when you feel imposter syndrome today, how do you work through it? How do you manage it? How do you deal with it, basically?
Yeah, well, going to therapy.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes, there's stigma around there, but I like to share that I do see a therapist, because it's normal. You can't always talk to family members, because often they don't know what to say, or they'll say something that'll make me feel worse.
Doesn't help you.
Yeah.
But you are going to fail. I could have told you.
Yes, that kind of advice. So I just work with my therapist, and just being aware of the things that I tell myself. Oh, you can't do this, or you don't fit in here. And also looking for feedback helps, because especially in my career, where I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough, what am I doing? When I ask for feedback from my manager, it's always these things these good things that I'm doing that I'm not thinking about, because I'm so focused on things that I may be lacking.
Yes.
Yeah, but the good thing about me is that I'm not the type of person that likes to stay stuck someplace, and I'm highly motivated, so that helps too, with like that imposter syndrome that comes up.
What about you, Carly?
Yeah, I would definitely say one of my favorite things to do in trying to like ground myself, because in that same way I can get really overwhelmed and I start listening to what's happening in my head and not actually understanding what's really happening. One of my favorite things to do is kind of reflect on how far I've come. That usually helps me a lot. So it's like a good reminder of the things that I have accomplished. So whether it's like writing down experiences that have happened to me, or remembering like, on this time last year, I've actually come a decent way. So I like to reflect on past experiences and what I've accomplished in that amount of time. And then that helps me to realize that what I'm going through at that moment is smaller than what I think it is in my head. So I like to just think back, and I think to myself, like, I'm here, I'm at this job, I have my undergrad degree, like I did all these things, so I don't want to forget that in the midst of doubting myself. So just those reminders are helpful for me.
I definitely agree with you in terms of, writing down what you have done well as a reminder to yourself when imposter syndrome rears its head. For me, I also like to affirm myself and tell myself why I am so amazing, why I can accomplish this, why I can do this. I think that's really important, to have that self-motivation, self-positive talk, because sometimes you don't get the support you need from outside, right? I love the idea of therapy, especially if you don't have the support system and you just want someone else that's not in your space to just talk about any insecurities that you might be feeling. And yes, there is a lot of stigma around therapy, but for us here at Clever Girl Finance, therapy is perfectly fine. You need the help, you get the help, you help yourself. So affirmations are a big deal for me. And I also, one of the challenges I face with imposter syndrome though is that I've learned that every time you overcome one aspect of imposter syndrome, something bigger is coming.
It's always something. It's always something.
Something bigger is coming. So one of the things I'm trying to teach myself is how to manage for the bigger things that are coming, that are going to be tied to imposter syndrome. Like when you get the promotion, when you get the salary increase, when you do something pivotal in your career, in your life, etc., as long as you have goals and ambitions, it means you're aiming for something higher than where you are now, which means that every higher level is another imposter person syndrome there waiting for you. And I don't even know if it's worth even thinking about the discomfort in the future, but it's something I try to manage for. So affirmations, seeing a therapist if you need to, writing down what you have done well. And another thing I do is surrounding myself with the right people. There's some people that are just not good, especially when I'm going through those moments that I'm like, I intentionally choose not to be around or spend time with them, or I just absolutely do not want any feedback they have to share. And sometimes there are people that you just can't get rid of because they're in your family.
You're stuck with them.
You're stuck with them forever. And so I've learned how to keep my goals to myself, especially when they're very small, when they're just at the early stage of fruition, right? Because all it takes is somebody's negative remark to kill your dream and make you feel like, you know what, I'm not going to take action because I can never do it. I'm useless. I'm not worth it. You know, I don't have what it takes. And a lot of times when people are doing that, it's not you. It has nothing to do with you. It's based on their own imposter syndrome and their own limitations that they have for themselves, but they can impact you with their words. And so just being mindful of who you have around you to help manage your imposter syndrome is so important. So thank you ladies so much for sharing that. So imposter syndrome for many of us does not go anywhere, but like I said earlier, it doesn't have to limit you. So reflect on all the things that you have done well, no matter how small they are, and acknowledge them. Reflect on all the difficult situations you have overcome and remind yourself of how you did it, and just focus on the positive sides of what you have going on, and remind yourself why you are capable, why you are worth it, and that will help to put that imposter syndrome at bay. And one thing I want you to remember is that there is no perfect blueprint to living life, right? Everybody has their own idea of how other people should live their lives, but the way you live your life should be in the best way that works for you. So you don't want anybody to make you feel less than. And as we discussed, if you're feeling that way, then it's time to shift your circle of influence. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please hit the like button on this video, subscribe to this channel, tell all your best girlfriends about Clever Girl Finance, and follow us on Instagram at Clever Girl Finance. You can also stop by clevergirlfinance.com to check out our over 30 plus completely free courses. And finally, be sure to pick up a copy or pre-order your copy of my new book, Choosing to Prosper, available this summer 2022 everywhere you buy your books in ebook, audiobook, and physical book formats. We will talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.